Hey everyone, Brian Hill with the Complete Combatant. This is Mantis Dry Fire Mondays, and you're on Active Self-Protection Extra.
Ammo is crazy expensive and hard to find, and dry fire is life. I use the Mantis X10 to keep my handgun skills strong, and it makes dry practice fun and challenging. Check it out at the link below.
We've been working our way through the draw, and last week I did primary hand only, so I thought it'd be important for you guys to do support hand also. As far as tactically driven for the armed citizen, John's work on 30,000 videos now, we don't see this happening to the armed citizen. So what we call it is an outlier event. So whenever you're training and you have limited training time, you want to prioritize the 20% of the inputs that are going to give you 80% of the outputs, the results in it. All right, so that's draw to first shot, the ability to transition between multiple targets, some basic footwork or movement. Things like that are really going to be of value to the armed citizen, where this is pretty far out of it. But instead of it making it a tactical doctrine, let's work on it from a different side. I'm going to come from the scientific side. What we want to do is develop new skills, and the way we do that is change our brains. Your brains do not stay the same. There's a term now that a lot of people like to use as neuroplasticity, but plastic becomes hard and rigid, and it's almost as if once you set the brain that it takes a lot of work to change it, but your brain is changing constantly. So instead of plasticity, we're going to talk about malleability, neuromalleability. You're going to be constantly shaping your mindfulness, your concentration, your ability to stay in the moment and perform well. This is going to lead to a cognitive improvement. So shooting with the hand that is not as well coordinated allows us to get better at other things because we have to be fully present to do it well. And I often see it in class that when I put people on support hand only, they shoot better than they did with their primary hand. You're going to develop more processing power for the task because you have to pay attention in more detail. You're going to look more deeply to the sights. You're going to feel a great more connection to the grip and the trigger, and that will help you tremendously with your other ones. This is kind of exploratory training. You're exploring your ability because you're taking something away and you're trying to work the edge of the performance with less. And that's really important for you guys. This is outside the normal, so it strengthens the connections and neurogenesis, another word for you guys. What we're going to do is be creating ability to shoot better with this drill. And of course, someday, maybe not in the gunfight, but you may injure your right hand. I'm a striker and a grappler, so it's always on the table that my fingers get caught in a grappling match, or I hit the bag wrong, something like that happens. So injury could be possible. I may have to shoot with the left hand. So it's better to have an abundance of skill already there instead of trying to play catch up once I get injured. Now it's going to cost you some things to shoot with your left hand. One is how much time. You won't be able to shoot as quickly as you do with the right hand. It's probably not as well coordinated. All right, and your decisions are going to have to be really, really sharp as you make them. You're going to have to pay attention because you're going to see a lot more movement than you're used to. Breathing becomes much more important because you're going to get more tense. We're going to manage tension through breathing, especially exhaling, and it's going to help your concentration because you're going to raise your oxygen levels. The brain needs a lot of oxygen. It also needs a lot of glucose, and it's using a lot of calories as you're doing this. So you really have to breathe well, and that way you can get your brain in a drag racer position and be able to concentrate better. Everybody wants to talk about the thumb position. And here's what it comes down to. Get your Mantis out, practice it with your thumb up, your thumb forward, and your thumb down. See if you see any difference in the measurements. You may, but it may be more preference or the way that you're wedging your hands in there. It doesn't play a big role in it. What we want to do is stop thinking about the thumb and think about the palm. We are gripping with the palm. We don't grip with the thumb. It's fairly weak at that edge. But what we can do is use this big muscle right here, the thenar, and squeeze the whole palm around it. So grip with your palm, put the thumb in a position that seems to work best for you. In classes, it seems to be about third up, third forward, and third curled down. And it makes no difference whatsoever. You can shoot extraordinarily well in any one of those positions. Make sure you stand up straighter, all right? Good posture improves concentration because you're fully present, and it also improves confidence because you're getting more blood flow. The more you crouch, the more you hunch, the less blood flows, and it's harder to make decisions. It's harder to maintain stability. Since we want to be mindful, make sure you have good posture. Check the fingers. As you do this, I want you to actually look at the fingers and try to pry the pinky off, pry the ring finger off, pry the middle finger off, and see how tight they are to the gun, because that's all you've got is those three fingers gripping, and then the pad of the hand on the other side, the palm of the hand. Feel the trigger. Get connected to the trigger as deeply as you can, because that's going to really matter. In one-hand shooting, trigger management is a big part of it. So feel both edges of the trigger and be connected to the movement of the trigger. Keep it moving the whole time. You'll shoot better that way. You should practice from two or three positions. One is just shooting as we normally do with the gun out. The other one is a low ready, and then the other one is compression position. So we're getting some movement in there. All right, let's check the gun. Let's make sure we're empty, no magazine in it. Position. This is a great time for your Mantis X. You want to get it on your gun at this point and start practicing. I put a dot on the target so I have something to aim for, and you guys can see the relationship between sights and trigger press. Get this hand completely out of the way. Put it right here, okay? Now you may have to tilt the gun to get it in front of your dominant eye, or you may move your head over to the dominant eye. Little B really likes me right now. Okay, so I've got the position out here, and I'm going to press the trigger, okay? As I practice this, I'm going to watch the front sights, and I'm going to take it up, exhale, 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 and be able to make a real nice press. And what I'm trying to do is tighten my armpit under here, get my stance nice and solid, grip with my whole hand, feel the pinky especially, and press. Okay? So I've got a little bit of dry practice now. What I'm going to do is go ahead and load and make ready. Get my ears on. Okay, what I'm doing is making sure that this finger's really gripping, this finger's really gripping, this finger's really gripping. I'm going to be mindful. I'm going to ignore time right now. I'm just going to try to make the best shots that are possible. Let's talk about how to change the gun from one hand to the next. There's two ways. You either can tilt it and then slide your hand in it, or you can swipe your thumb out of the way and pass it to the other one. I'm about to do that so you guys can see. Now I'm going to go from a low ready so I can practice a bit of movement with this, because that's what really changes a lot with the support hand shooting, is whenever you introduce a bit of movement. See what that looks like. Primary hand's out of the way. I give it something to do. Okay. I'm going to aim below the line of the Rangemaster target and off to the side. What I'm simply going to do is bring the gun up, fire a shot. Bring the gun up, fire a shot. Bring the gun up, fire a shot. Let's go over there and look at the target, because I know it's not real to y'all unless you see it. So here you go. So pretty good shooting. All right, everything's right here. We're probably in about a 1.5 inch, 2 inch circle. That's good controllability. So I was at about, I don't know, 3 yards, 4 yards, something like that. So if I go out to 20 yards, I'd expected to see it about that big inside of that circle with one hand. That's sufficient shooting for me. I'm getting good feedback. I'm watching the sights. I'm pressing the trigger. I'm controlling it. Don't argue about the small details. Let this be a drill to improve you and improve the way that you make decisions. Help you really pay attention to what you're doing, because this is going to change the way you think. If you have this kind of confidence with your support hand, then you go back to your primary and then you get two hands on the gun, you're going to feel like a different shooter. So it's worth developing the skill, maybe not for fighting, but because you need more skill. The bigger the pool of resources we have, the easier it is to fight with. I don't think you're ever going to have to use your left hand, but if you ever did, you'd have the skill to do it. That's important, of course, but you're going to be better at making decisions under pressure. And get on it, work on it, feel the grip, improve it. All right, guys, make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you subscribe. Active Self-Protection Extra. I'm Brian Hill with the Complete Combatant, and I appreciate it. You guys have been outstanding. You've left great comments and questions. I love interacting with y'all, and I think we're making a lot of progress. I want to see you guys work on this stuff, get some progress with it. We'll keep putting the videos out. We're so glad to help you. All right, as always, measure, refine, and perform.